Hello YouTubers, today's video is on upgrades and reviews of products that I've had for 6 months or more. All of the items that I'll be reviewing will have links below in the comment section. My first review is going to be on my upgrade that I did on my 12-volt charging panel. Even though this upgrade is relatively basic, it does have some of the nice features such as an on-off switch, the voltage meter, the USB port, as well as the 12-volt socket. The installation was quite simple, and it does provide the needed information to make sure that I have a charging battery and that my battery levels are maintained at the proper level. I found over the last 2 years that we access these shoe boxes almost daily on any time that we're on a trip, or even if we're just sitting at home and we have to run out to the camper for one reason or another. It's a great place to keep storage items. I keep a few of the storage containers in the overhead cabinets above the couch. That's where I keep some things like some bungee cords, gloves that I use for grilling, and some adhesives and tapes for quick repairs. And then I also have a couple other containers that are a different shape that I put my manuals in, as well as I've got another one just for brochures from our travels. In that same cabinet above the travel information, I also have a binder that I keep all of my service information, as well as receipts and things that I've used for the camper itself. Even though I had trouble getting used to the setup and the operation of this indoor-outdoor thermometer, once I got accustomed to it and began to understand it, it seemed to work pretty good for me. One of the things that I found is by moving the sensor into the cargo compartment or storage compartment underneath the bed, or as a lot of people call it, the basement, I found that I get a lot better readings and it's a lot more accurate. In hindsight, I don't know if I would have purchased this particular model because it was so difficult to get adjusted to, but as of right now, I have no interest as far as picking up another one and replacing it. It's working just fine. My recommendation would be do some research and some comparison and see what best fits your needs. Jury's still out of my table mod that I did on my own. It does alright as far as keeping the wires straight, but the power strip that I mounted on the bottom didn't hold up, and it kept falling down, so right now it's just sitting on the bottom of the floor. And on this particular toaster, the cord's in a funky place, so it doesn't work real well, and I just got it hanging behind the table. Tension bars are probably one of the most popular and highly recommended items that's out there for RVers. They seem to work great, especially if you've got an opening that they'll fit into. I use them in several cabinets where I've got items that could fall out easily when I open up the doors, like the juices and also my adult beverages. Using command hooks to store my tension bars that I use in a refrigerator seems to work out great. Just to have two hooks side by side, each hook will hold a couple of double bars, and that way when we get to the destination, we just take the tension bars right out of the refrigerator and hang them up on that door, and they just stay right out of the way. And even when I open and close the door, they never fall off. They just stay in place. So it turned out to be a great idea with a cheap fix. I used that third hook that's stuck between the two double spacers for storage of like paper bags or plastic bags. Kind of keeps them out of the way and off the floor. It's also easy access. When I got my soundbar, I placed it on the countertop just below the TV. That caused a problem. I could no longer see my digital clock, and I didn't have room to fit my Blu-ray player on. My solution was to get a couple of cutlery trays, which are just probably about 3 to 4 inches wide, about 9 inches long, and to flip them upside down, cover them with brown duct tape. It sounds kind of silly, but it really looked good by the time I got done. I placed them upside down behind the sound bar, and then I could put my clock on one side, and on the other side it fit perfect for my Blu-ray. And you can't even tell that what they really are. They just look like extensions of the shelf. In between the two, I have a little pocket where I can throw extra remotes or anything else I happen to have, like patch cords or USB cables. Seems to work out pretty good, and it was a cheap fix. About a year ago, I installed a new thermostat, which is digital, where my slide model was. Since then, we've had a lot of opportunity to check both the air conditioning and the heating temperatures on it, or the settings, and it's worked out fantastic. The only issue I really had with it was I couldn't see the reading as far as the temperature, what it was set at, or what the current temperature was inside the camper. In order to see the thermostat in the middle of the night, I installed a small light behind the back of the television set. This light was just simply attached with double stick tape, and it was battery operated with three small AAA batteries. The light not only made it easier to see it at night, but I could also see it in the daytime because sometimes it's kind of shaded out and it was kind of hard to read what the temperature setting was or what the actual temperature inside the room was. It also made the controls a lot more legible. To turn the light on and off, all I had to do is just tap the face of it. And after I tapped it, I could turn that or to redirect the light any which way I would like in case I wanted to make any connections in back of the television set as well as to take a better look at the thermostat. It also sheds light on my Verizon hotspot as well. Like I said, I've also got these things inside my cabinets, so it makes it a lot easier to search for things like hidden cookies and treats that might be placed out of my view. Since we're currently parked in the driveway, the pantry is a little empty. Last December, I picked up a Verizon Jetpack with unlimited data for traveling, especially when we're in Walmart parking lots or Cracker Barrels or some parks where they don't have either non existent Wi Fi or none at all. Even though it's worked pretty well, the one problem with it is that it isn't really unlimited. Once you get to 16 gigabytes, it will throttle down to about 3 gig, or I should say 3 megabytes or 3G. Doesn't work very well with that, and it's barely acceptable to even use. Catch Mike from Living Free on YouTube. He has a pretty good video on Verizon Hotspot that's available as pay as you go with truly unlimited for about $70 a month. It's a video that's well worth watching. Here's a great little rolling cart that we use for additional storage. It's all plastic, it's on casters. It's got 6 drawers in it, so we have 2 drawers for Marilyn, 2 drawers for the dog, and 2 drawers for my own electrical stuff that I like to keep handy. Like I said, it's lightweight and it's on casters, so it rolls around pretty easily. It's pretty handy. We can set things on top of it. I normally keep it parked right in front of one of my doors that's got my videos in that we don't really watch that often, but it's a good place to keep it. It's also convenient there because it's right next to the dinette and we can put things on top of it like food or whatever when we've got company over and there's going to be 4 of us sitting in the dinette together. Also, when we travel, we just roll it back to the bedroom and slide it right between the wall and the bed where it fits perfectly. That way it doesn't slide back and forth and it doesn't roll at all. And the drawers stay in. Uh, when we're not using it for anything else, it's a good place just to set any kind of catalogs or magazines or brochures that we happen to have that we haven't looked at, or we just got no place else to put them. Here's one of my failures. It's the Spice Store Organizer Rack. I've tried this inside the camper. I also tried it inside the house or in the kitchen cabinets inside of our cottage. And it just does not work out. They work okay if you've got certain size or brands of spices. Uh, like the McCormick seems to work pretty well. That's if it's the larger bottle for McCormick. If it's a little small, narrow one for the salt and pepper shaker and some of the other spices, it doesn't work. Once you put in something that's a little bit oversized of as far as a jar, you can't put anything smaller in it. It won't you can't reposition it to be a smaller size. Biggest frustration is every time we open it up, if it doesn't have the right size bottle in it, it's going to fall out. And then we end up with spices in the dishwater or landing on our lap or whatever. What I like to do now is I've got a little tray that I put some of my favorite spices in, and I keep that on the top shelf in my cabinet that's over the kitchen countertop. So that seems to work out all right. But otherwise, I'm not too happy with those racks. In fact, I'm going to be taking them all down in the very near future. Some of the things like the salt and the pepper, my seasoning salt, and a couple other items I might put down on the bottom shelf where I can get to them a little bit easier. And that's something that we use the most frequently. For you pet owners who have RVs, or even if you don't have RVs, this is great. It's a Scotch Brite pet roller, which is great for removing hair. We use it all the time. Not so much on our furniture because we have leather, but we use it all the time on the bedding as well as the comforter. Works great, easy to use, and not too expensive. I needed someplace where I can put my feet up, and this collapsible footstool seemed to really do the trick. I got it through Amazon, relatively inexpensive, very lightweight, and the nice thing about it, it has an empty compartment there where I can put other storage items in there. Makes it for the perfect RV item. It's basically something that's got dual purpose. And it doesn't look too bad. It kind of matches the furniture as well. It's not only has extra storage, but it's also lightweight, so I can toss it on the chair that it's in front of, turn that chair sideways, and then I can bring my slide in, so it stores rather easily. Command hooks. Just can't say enough good about them, and you can't have too many. The only thing I would rather do is maybe the next time I would probably go with the dark brown or something dark in color so it looks better on my walls. Last year, my shower controls developed a leak, so I switched over to a different style or model. I do like the shower control, however, where the biggest exception would be the hose being connected at the very top, which I really think should be on the bottom. And then the handle, even though it's easy to control, it's easy to knock and either hit it to the hard left or to the cold side or to the hot side. So you either freeze or get scalded. So you got to be kind of careful when you're turning around inside the shower. I'll also have to admit that it would install very easily and it looks pretty good as well. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Another highly recommended item, and I'm no different, is the Oxygenics shower head. This shower head does a great job as far as providing good high pressure with low water consumption. It's ideal for boondocking situations where you really have to conserve your water. Occasionally I have to tighten up the mounting fixture, but other than that, it's been a pretty good device. Of course, just like everything else, I have links below in the comment section. I got one of these marine cup holders or boat cup holders for each side of the bed because it works out so great for storing your water bottle, especially when you go to bed at night and you wake up and you want to have a quick cool drink, kind of get that dry taste or feeling out of your mouth. I mounted it on the wall using command Velcro strips instead of using the screws. It might come off once in a while, but if I push it on there nice and firm, it'll stay up there. And it folds up and gets out of the way when you're not using it. To open it up, just pop it open, throw your bottle in there, and it's good. I've even had the bottle staying in there when we're traveling, and it still stays right where it's at so it doesn't tip over. Just kind of a nice place to put your cool drink for the nighttime, and that way not. The 4x9 cutlery trays also are great for bedside trays. They are outstanding. I usually put my spare glasses in there. I also have maybe a phone stuck in there, a remote control, cough drops or whatever, so I don't have to look around at night. I can just go right to that tray and find something relatively easy. And so it's the same tray that I used over by the TV to put my clock and my DVD player or Blu-ray player on. I also have a wireless charger for my phones, and so that way I don't have to fumble around trying to plug them in. Right next to my drink holder, I keep the remote control for my Fire Stick. Since only one of my two TVs in the camper is a smart TV, the Fire Stick converts my TV in the bedroom to a smart TV by using the Amazon Fire Stick as a web device. By attaching the Fire Stick to the TV and connecting to the internet through either my Wi-Fi hotspot, my jetpack, or any campground Wi-Fi, I can turn my TV into a smart TV and I can watch stations such as Fox, CNN, MSNBC, many of the local TV stations that do have their own apps, as well as YouTube, also Netflix, Prime Video, Amazon Music, and also movies that are available through Amazon and other suppliers like Showtime, HBO, and other distributors. This is especially handy when you're in areas where you don't get very good TV reception, or you're in a heavily wooded area where you just can't get good antenna TV. You even have the capability to connect directly to the internet. Not that I really have the need to. I find that my tablet or my phone seem to do the job for that. But it's kind of nice to have that option. But it does make it rather nice if we just want to lay back in bed and watch some YouTube, which that's what we quite often do. We can do so and be comfortable. Sorry for the crooked view. I was laying on the bed trying to shoot the pictures and it wasn't quite straight, but so much for that. At least you get the idea. One of the smartest upgrades that any RVer could do is to change their halogen lights or old lights into LEDs, because basically all their LEDs put together would probably not use as much power as what a standard halogen light would. Big savings on your battery, especially if you're doing a lot of boondocking. Another one of my wiser decisions was the purchase of my Champion 3100 watt inverter with remote control. This inverter has enough power to run everything on my rig, including my air conditioner, my microwave, the TVs, and even my wife's hair dryer, if they're run separately. I considered the Champion dual fuel, but after discovering that dual fuel was not available with the remote control, I felt the remote control was much more important to me. There's only one time when I really felt I would have liked to have the dual fuel, but that was only on one occasion during this last winter. Actually, that option I never really needed. I know Energizer has a dual fuel with a remote control, but that seemed to be a little bit on the noisier side, and I really thought that the Champion was a much better inverter. I also have a 50-foot 30 amp cord that I use when we're traveling to and from Florida or any place else where we're going to stay at a Cracker Barrel or Cabela's or even a Walmart. By keeping my inverter locked up in the back of the truck, I can just simply attach my cord to the inverter outlet and run it straight back to the receptacle or the plug for my camper. That way it never leaves the truck and it stays locked up all the time. If there is any inclement weather like rain or snow, I can always put the tonneau cover over it, prop it open, and so it gets some air, and it works out perfectly. The nice thing about the remote control is that we can sit and watch TV at night while we're parked someplace like a Cabela's or a Cracker Barrel parking lot. And while we're watching TV, when we get done, we just simply shut the TV off and I hit the remote and it shuts off the generator. When I get up in the morning, all I have to do is just hit that remote again and it starts it right up. Don't have to go out and choke it or anything else. It just works right away without any issues. The most common question I get is as far as gas consumption, and I would say I probably average 6 to 8 hours on a tank of gas. Sometimes maybe if I'm running it a little bit more, it would be less time. I find that if I fill it up in the morning when I get done using it, and then once again at night before I go to bed, it's pretty good for the rest of for most of the evening. I chose the inverter or generator over solar because since we live up in Michigan, we really just don't get that much sun and we have an awful lot of trees in this area. Also, we find that when we do use the generator, we're in transit from the north to the south, and we still have a lot of clouds, so we're not using or have the capabilities of using solar that often. However, in the future, we plan on going out west where we could use the solar a little bit more, and then I'll probably be looking more into it. Until then, the generator seems to work out great. A little over a year ago, I picked up a bike rack, which is a bumper mount that I put on the back of the camper, and it's done quite well. Holds both bicycles without any issue. It's easy to strap on the bicycles to the rack, holds them pretty secure. My only issue right now is that spare tire seems to be in the way and is rather cumbersome. So I'm going to be moving that to the bottom of the trailer. I have already got a mounting system for that. That's going to be coming up in a future video. But until then, it's working out okay. Again, on all these items I'm reviewing, I will have a link to it in the comment section. My most recent purchase is the Camco RV curve levelers with chocks. I found that these are probably a lot simpler and a lot easier to use as well as quicker as far as leveling off the RV and then chocking it at the same time. I like this a lot better than when I was using stackable blocks or even pieces of wood. With curve levelers, all you do is just place them behind the wheels and back over on the low side and it'll level it right off. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the products and upgrades that I've performed on this RV, and hopefully it'll give you some insight prior to your next purchase. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And most of all, thanks for watching.